Doom SnapMap wouldn't be that awesome if it weren't for custom geometry. Custom geometry, or Geo for short, is pretty much what you think it is. It's the kind of map that uses geometry made by the author rather than pre-fabricated modules from the developers. I've tried to find any research if Doom SnapMap was ever supposed to allow players to create their own geometry, and I found none. When Doom 2016 was still in development, the developers made it clear that Doom SnapMap was mostly designed to grab a bunch of pre-fabricated modules and snap them together. But there were some folks that managed to find ways to further express their creativity back in the launch day era of Doom 2016. This map, Cartoon Land, was the first custom geo map I've played, and I was flabbergasted after playing through so many maps that heavily designed on prefabricated modules. Cartoon Land was a breath of fresh air. I didn't think it was possible to create levels that had unique geometry back then, and I wanted more of it. I would eventually discover more of these types of maps back in the launch day, but obviously these maps were simply a product of its time. It's severely out of date compared to what the people have done with SnapMap and its later quality of life updates. But the authors that were making custom geo maps back in the launch day era of Doom 2016 would be the driving force to push Doom 2016 become more competent in its user-generated content experience. When Doom 2016 had an update where they added hell modules and a grid room for us mappers, this was game-changing, and it was obvious that the developers knew that the community wanted to be able to create their own spaces and layouts. During this time, I finally got some real exposure after making so many maps back in the launch day era and barely getting any real attention at all. I also knew custom geo maps were going to be the main attraction during the free update 2 era of Doom 2016, so I ended up making a lot of maps that were custom geo driven. Some of them have not aged well, and some of them are near and dear to me. My city survival map was my breakthrough hit, and it would finally allow me to get some real big exposure. This would lead me to be able to work with other mappers, and we ended up making collaborative projects for the scene. People would host my map back in the day when there were actually people playing co-op with randoms. This success meant I was onto something, and it would obviously be an incentive to keep me making levels and perfecting my craft. My city survival would eventually become the #1 custom geo map before id Software spotlit community levels. That sort of achievement was unexpected for me, and I did it all on my own with the intention of just trying to make a fun survival map and hoping people would find it cool as I did. But as great that I found so much success as a Doom 2016 mapper making custom geo maps, this video is not about my successful custom geo maps. It's about how custom geo maps are pretty much the main savior of Doom 2016's community levels. It's the custom geo maps that allow Doom SnapMap to hold its own from other games that have a strong and dedicated mapping community, like classic Doom. It's no doubt that Doom 2016's SnapMap was inspired by the classic games. Every diehard classic Doom enjoyer knows it's the community that has kept Doom 1 and Doom 2 alive throughout the years, and they continue to push the standards higher and higher as the games get older. I always like to say that you can't beat the community levels because at the end of the day, there's just too many for you to play all of them, and of course, the ones you like will always leave you returning for more. As someone who has put a lot of time in both modern and classic Doom titles, classic Doom is by far the more flexible mapping experience. That's not to say Doom SnapMap fails to live up to the legacy of the old games, because there are absolutely some cool stuff I've seen the community has done, and despite it being more limited than the old games when it comes to the development side of things, it's always magical to see mappers being able to create something enticing by just sheer imagination and creativity, because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to rely a lot more on that when making a Doom 2016 level. That's all because of custom geo maps, and if it weren't for these types of levels, Doom SnapMap would have totally been a completely different experience as a whole. I probably wouldn't make this video if custom geo maps weren't a thing for Doom 2016. It should be noted that there are two types of custom geo levels in Doom 2016. You have the traditional type, which generally uses the grid room modules and you make your own geometry. And then you have the paint job style, which is the one where mappers will take a prefabricated room and enhance them in their own preferred style. Throughout Doom SnapMap's lifespan, Custom Geo levels have always played an important role for quality community maps. Most authors who make these types of levels are generally going to be more serious in their works. To this day, mappers are still making Custom Geo levels to further keep them alive and taking advantage of the community content updates. It's been many years since Doom 2016 was launched, and without the many Custom Geo authors who paved the way for other authors, Doom 2016 simply wouldn't be the game like it is now. Thank you for watching, everyone, and stay tuned for more exploring Doom SnapMap content.